because this is a guy we used to work in the same room every day, and we were talking about Back to the Future. Because I eat a lot of berries at work.
I've never seen that.
Like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, whatever. And you're like, what kind of berries do you have today? I'm like, Marvin berries.
On this special 2-part episode of the MacGuffin Guild, we're going to continue the obsessive search for the Vanishing. We're going to explore and compare both the 1988 and 1993 versions of the film, both directed by George Sluizer. The 88 version stars Bernard-Pierre Donnadieu, Joanna Turstig, and Gene Bervoets, while the 93 version stars Jeff Bridges, Kiefer Sutherland, Nancy Travis, and Sandra Bullock. We're going to talk about The Golden Egg, The Fear of Tunnels, and Sly Stallone, anti-fan reviews, and ASMR. We'll discuss the look of metal bass players, method acting, Mike's throat growls, playing darts in the dark, and losing your bear hunting friend. We'll also talk about Pat's UFO experience, chess master Tim Krabbe, as well as the second time Justin was almost abducted. I'm Pat Dougherty, and as always, I'll be joined by my fellow MacGuffins, Justin Jones and Mike Antonio. Our theme song was written and performed by Jordan Vincent. Now let's find out how far out of your mind you're willing to go to find the Vanishing.
You better than this.
Welcome to another episode of the MacGuffin Guild. I am Pat Dougherty, and as always, I am joined by the mighty MacGuffins. First and foremost, Mr. Justin Jones. Justin, how is it going?
I'm good. Cut that. Take 2. This is awful. This is like the worst day of my life.
Here we go. Justin, how's it going? Mike.
This is like the worst day of my life.
This is the worst day of my life.
Oh my God.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're here. And in addition to Justin, I am here as always with Mr. Mike Antonio. Mike, how you doing?
Fuck you. Doing well, Pat.
Oh my God. Well, I am glad both of you are ready to roll, it appears. So this week we selected the film, I should say the films, The Vanishing. And this is something pretty special for us here at the MacGuffin Guild. This is the first time ever we're going to dive into 2 versions of the same film, also directed by the same man, which is pretty intriguing.
Oh, what?
What, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Really?
No. How did I miss that?
Oh, no shit. Wow. Well, I didn't see the original.
Goodness.
This is all about discovery. This is our thing. We talk about all the time.
Full disclosure,
Wow.
both Pat and Justin saw both versions. I only watched the remake.
I don't know how you didn't know that.
So Mike will be playing the part of a slacker.
No, that's not true. I'm sure there are many people out there who have not seen the original.
Yeah.
Though they weren't assigned to do so.
That's true.
No,
they're not members of a podcast.
That was assigned as bonus content, not necessarily we
that's
had
true.
to.
All right,
So.
and you see, he just,
Your maximum grade can be a B+ then.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Fuck it. It's
right.
passing.
Back
So, George Sluizer, it's Sluizer, Sluizer. I think I've seen it pronounced.
I believe so.
He directed both. He unfortunately has passed. He was born in 1932. He died September 20th, 2014, undisclosed death, so I don't know any details.
I also want to take this moment, since you mentioned him, to give listeners a heads up that we're going to be mispronouncing a lot of names in this episode.
Absolutely.
And we apologize ahead of time. It's not any disrespect.
Yes, and I'm not just talking Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
He's one of the easier ones to pronounce.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland's one of my favorite actors of all time. No, he's great.
So
he's really good in the original.
Yeah, the original you haven't seen. Yeah, all night you're going to be hitting us with those zingers all episode.
Gerard Butler did not encompass his performance.
No, Gerard Butler has nothing to do with this Vanishing, just so there's no confusion. So The Vanishing. So this was my selection for the show, and I based this selection on my original viewing of the 1993 version of this film. That's the one that I saw as a youth.
Yeah, as well as I did.
Same here.
I didn't. So what? We
That's
kind
a
of
clunky sentence.
This episode was kind of started with that film in mind, but then I always wanted to watch once I found out, and it was relatively recently, probably within the last, I don't know, I don't even know if it was 2-3 years. It's been recent. I knew there was a remake, or I knew that this was a remake of an original, and the original I had never seen. So when it was my turn to select a film for the MacGuffin Guild, I didn't know if I wanted to pick the one that I knew or the one that I've always wanted to watch and was just looking for an excuse to see.
Yeah.
So we decided, well, two of us decided that we would watch both and bring all that information to the table. And Mike is only working with half the information,
Right, so
which is typical.
I didn't do the extra credit. Whatever,
Yeah.
man.
But this is good. It gives a third perspective.
I'm one of the common mans.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's start with, here's what I typically do for the beginning of the show, as some of you may know at this point, is I'll go into the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, and then I'll do a range of reviews. We'll try to, blow through that a little bit, because I want to do both films. Or, Justin, what do you think? Should I do one, and then when we start to transition to the other, I could do the other? I don't want to. I don't know the best approach to.
Yeah, this is a little tricky. This is different than what we normally do. So I think naturally our conversation is going to gravitate bouncing between the two films.
Mm-hmm.
As far as giving the reviews, why not bounce between a few reviews of each?
Okay, so
And if you can always move it around later.
So here's what I'll do. So I will start with. I'm going to start with the 93 version, because that's the one, again, that's the one that sparked this episode to begin with. So I'm extremely intrigued. Now, I've already peeked at these numbers, but I'm extremely...
I thought you were saying you've already peaked.
Peaked. I did. I've already peaked, like physically, emotionally.
You've already peaked. Now you're on the...
It's all downhill.
The downslide.
I will not grow any taller.
There's still hope for me.
So I peeked at these ratings on the tomato meter and the audience score already for both of these films, and I'm actually, it's quite intriguing to see the difference in the two ratings. So would you guys like to guess before I proceed? I'm looking at the 93 one now. We're going to start with the one that we're more familiar with. 93. Where do you think that ranks on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes?
86.
I'm with Mike because I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I just threw that number out there. I do think it's like 80 range.
All right. 80?
Yeah.
49.
What the freak?
49.
That's a critic?
That's critic.
Wow.
Audience, 46.
Wow.
Now, maybe there is an uprising going on. Maybe there are folk who have now seen the original, who are, for whatever reason...
Like two of the three of us.
Yeah, who are for whatever reason deciding, oh, well, now, we gotta, down with the new one. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just, it's a hypothetical.
Is it, though?
But to give a range of reviews here, so most of them seem to be leaning in the negative. Let's see if I can even find a positive. Yeah, here we go. I'll start with a positive. Malcolm Johnson from Hartford Courant. Until its over-the-top climax, which combines absurdity with one flash of slasher stuff, the American remake proves an intriguing variation of the first film. Mike Mazzy from Gone with the Twins says, Bridges makes a memorable, superb psycho demonstrating remorsefulness, fortitude, and unnerving calm in a faint Dutch or simpleton accent. So
they say Dutch. I was curious if his accent wasn't Scandinavian, because I know in Seattle there's like an old school Scandinavian.
I was going to ask you,
ancestry
Justin,
there, yeah.
since you spent some time out there, like, was that like his accent? Because I thought it was an odd choice. But I've never been to Seattle, so I don't know if...
Yeah, I thought his accent was a little odd, too.
And you just pointed that out, so...
Yeah, because while Sarah and I were watching this, Sarah's my wife, if anyone doesn't know, and I do what she tells me. Yeah.
Really?
No, we were watching it, and I said... I was like, do you think his voice sounds Scandinavian? Or is he trying to sound Scandinavian? Because when I lived out there, I noticed that there was an old school, like, Scandinavian... culture. I worked at one of the oldest bakeries I think, in Seattle at the time, which was from an old Scandinavian. It was in a Scandinavian neighborhood, so I thought maybe it was kind of some leftover thing. And then she brought up a good point that she thinks that his performance may have been inspired by Ed Kemper, the serial killer, who she had seen in like Mindhunter, like the guy who plays him there, and about the way he spoke. But then we watched interviews with Ed Kemper, and he didn't really sound like that. He was a little more put together, so to speak.
So
I don't think he was very well put together, though.
No, I'm talking about Ed Kemper.
I
mean, like, yeah,
I'm joking.
His behavior may prove differently, but his
but
his speaking patterns. and stuff,
I've seen interviews with him and stuff, so I know what you're saying.
So
I was just zinging.
So David Nusser from Real Film Reviews, who we've had at least twice before in the MacGuffin
Yeah, that
Guild.
name does sound familiar.
We love David, I think.
He says a thoroughly involving thriller that boasts a number of genuinely tense sequences.
Was that about the remake?
Yes, we're still on the remake here. Still 93. Let me give some negatives now. All right. Hal Hinson, Washington Post. A case study in how Hollywood can make a complete mess out of what was previously a marvelous film.
So, yeah, obviously a fan of the original.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see where he's coming from. I think that's a little venomous.
I think that's a little harsh.
It's a little harsh, but
I can't really comment or speculate.
Yeah.
All right. Roger Ebert,
Oh, boy.
Chicago Sun-Times. The first movie was existential in its merciless unfolding. This one turns into a slasher movie with a cheap joke at the end.
Again, I mean, I don't want to say he's wrong, but I think it's selling the remake a little short, I think.
All right. One more. Nigel Floyd from Time Out. Misjudged, compromised Hollywood remake.
Again, not wrong, but...
Oh, here. This is a good one. Vanessa Letts, The Spectator. American screenwriters have run out of ideas, which I think is a ridiculous review if you know anything about these films.
Oh, yeah.
That it's an American screenwriter's fault that the remake is not. It's the same director based on the same material.
Yeah.
And probably roughly the same screenplay, which was partially at least written by the original author of the book, which is called The Golden Egg.
Yeah.
Have you read that, Justin, by any chance?
I read The Dust Jacket. It was compelling. So I'm looking forward to finishing it, The Dust Jacket. And first few sentences, though, geez, I couldn't even put it down.
If you can find a Dust Jacket these days, I would love to see it.
When you get to the copyright page, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's switch focus now to the original The Vanishing from 1988.
So there's only a 5-year difference between the original and remake.
So again, both of these directed by the same man, George Sluizer. And again, based on the same material, same concepts, everything. He just came over to America to do this version. Originally, it was called how do you say it, Justin?
I think it's
Sporloose.
Sporloose. I think.
Sporloose. So I know what that means. I just don't know how to say it. Sporloose. It means traceless or without a trace. In, I guess that would be Dutch.
I believe so.
And we all know Austin Powers' dad hates 2 things. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
Dutch, oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's so funny. It's great. I always love that line.
It's so good.
All right, so the
who doesn't
remake,
love windmills? Really?
So the
it's 2020. Can we get over it?
The original now. Would anyone like to guess on the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter score?
80% range.
80?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
What do you want to go 80?
Yeah, also 80.
98%.
God damn!
Wait, the original?
The original.
Holy Christ, that's critic review?
Critic. God. Audience score? Guess?
74.
Justin?
I think Mike's right on the money again.
88%.
God damn!
So,
man,
totally different.
So I missed out.
Totally different from the remake.
I will say this now. I definitely liked the original better than the remake. I saw the remake first ages ago. And actually, my intent originally was to watch the original, since I'd already seen the remake, but I didn't remember hardly anything from it. I wanted to watch the original first and then follow up with the remake. But the way things worked out, I ended up watching the remake first and then the original. So, which I'm glad I did that, because I tend to find whatever movie I watch first, I like better. Whether it's the better movie or not, I'm like, oh, this is my movie.
Really?
This is what I like. Yeah, for some reason or another, and that's not like always true, but typically that's the case. The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. I love that movie. Like, I grew up watching that movie. I loved it from the first time I seen it to the most recent time I've seen it. And I watched the Thing from Outer Space a few years ago, which wasn't a bad movie.
Thing from Another
World. That's something, yeah. And I watched it a few years ago, and I liked it, but I was like, nah, the remake's better. So now Sarah's dad, who grew up with the original film, was like, no, this one's way better. You know what I mean? So that was one where I kind of is a good example of me liking the first one I saw. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
I watched it in the same way. I did that intentionally, though. I had seen, obviously, the 93 version many times over the years. I saw it, probably when it, maybe a year or two after it originally came out.
That's when I saw it, but I've only seen it the one time.
And so when I knew that we were going to do both of these, well, at least you and I, Justin, I intentionally watched this one first, because I'm like, I already know this one. Let me just refresh on this one and then dive into the new work, and, well, new to me, the much older work, but new to me. So I'm glad I did it that way. So Chrissy Lemire from ChrissyLemire.com.
Wow, how original.
Questionable. It's an elegant, riveting piece of filmmaking. Michael Wilmington from Los Angeles Times.
Fake name.
That's so horrible. I'm sorry, Michael. You have to forgive our Michael. He's...
If that is, in fact, your real name.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Michael. If it is Michael. The appalling, horrific climax of The Vanishing will haunt your mind long after the film is over.
God damn, I need to see this movie.
It's really good. One day we'll pick this as one of the ones we're going to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, one day. Roger Ebert from the Chicago Sun-Times. It'll be good to get a range from him. The movie advances in a tantalizing fashion, supplying information.
Well, that's good. That's what a movie should do. So then you can digest that information.
I like my movies informationless.
Yeah.
Obliquely?
Uninformed.
Obliquely. Yeah.
Obliquely, okay. All right, hold on.
Are you sure it's not obeliskly?
It might be. Okay. All right.
Opaquely.
Obesely.
Now I'm going to say all of those words except for the one that I need to say.
Auberginely.
Okay. You're right.
Ovaltine.
Ovaltinely. Ovaltinely.
In a sense similar to the color of purple.
All right. You're right. Time out. All right.
Be serious, man.
The movie advances.
I'm sorry.
People got shit to do in the morning, man. Get together.
Like how you said.
Be serious.
No, before that, you said about the information.
Oh.
As a movie should do.
Well, that's what movies should do. Like his deadpan delivery.
I'm glad that we can have a good chuckle before we talk about a movie of someone getting abducted.
All right, here we go.
Get together,
The
man.
movie advances. All right. The movie advances in a tantalizing fashion, supplying.
You're not going to get through
No,
this.
I'm going to.
You want to skip us?
No.
Okay.
I got it. Stop. Stop doing that.
Look, think about
I
something
didn't
sad
do
while
it
you're
the
saying
last time.
Think about abduction.
Yeah, think.
Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day.
All right, here we go.
Another Austin Powers reference. Jeez.
The movie advances in a tantalizing fashion, supplying information obliquely, suggesting as much as it tells, and everything leads up to a climax that is as horrifying as it is probably inevitable. obviously Roger feels a little different about this one than the last one.
Very verbose review.
Yeah, so the last one he gave, by the last I mean the second one he gave. The first movie was existential in its merciless unfolding. This one turns into a slasher movie with a cheap joke at the end. Callum Marsh, National Post, the recognition disturbs and terrifies.
Yes.
So once you realize what's happening, disturbs and terrifies. All right, that's some positives. Let's look at some negatives. In fact, there's only one negative right off the jump I can find. Dawn Kerr from Chicago Tribune. It's a film that functions on curiosity rather than real interest, given the fact that the characters are thinly drawn and largely unsympathetic, yet in the end punishes the audience for wanting to have its questions answered.
I'm going to circle back to that review when we get to the end, because I think there's I'm going to circle back to that.
Okay. All right, so let me see if I can find another negative. The negatives are hard to come by on this.
Well, it has
original.
a 98% critic review.
I know.
I mean,
Michael D says,
Fake name.
This is on
The Mike D?
the Mike D. This is on Rotten Tomatoes, obviously. This is fan review.
do MCA and Ad Rock agree?
Is he rocking the mic like a vandal?
So it says,
Wait, who is that? That's not even the same.
Michael D says,
No.
boredom, annoyance, at times wasted, and probably the least horrific I can recall.
Well put for someone who didn't graduate middle school. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's a fine person. I'm just...
Stick to rapping, Mike D.
Yeah, no, I like hearing different opinions on things, because that's very different than my opinion, and he elaborated.
All right, Jackie L. One of the worst movies of all time.
Oh, wow.
Just a horribly scripted, bad movie that leaves the viewer going, there's 109 minutes of my life I'll never get back. Ugh.
Where is she from? What publication does she write
She's
for?
just a fan.
Oh, okay. She's an anti-fan, apparently.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She's a...
I'd be curious to get in a room with her and have her describe to me what exactly she meant, because I feel the exact opposite way that she felt. Mm-hmm. Well, we can touch on that. We'll circle back on that again.
Maybe
too.
she just doesn't like... I almost said French films, but Netherlands films.
Well, there's certain feelings. I'll tell you what, to be honest with you, when you picked this movie and when we finally sat down to watch this, I had this sense of dread where, like, I do not want to watch this. Just because, not because it's a bad movie, just because I remember the feelings of anxiety it gave me watching it.
Yeah.
Which is good, because...
You're talking about the 93 version.
The 93 version. And then when we watched the remake, and I was like, all right, because we watched them both in the same day, so I had to work through the emotions of anxiety through the first one. Then we took a break, and I don't know, like, I went about our day and then watched the remake in the evening. And I had to go through that whole, like, preparing myself for anxiety again. Yeah.
So before we proceed, we should say spoilers ahead, and that is no joke. There are major spoilers to these films that we're going to have to discuss. So
Spoilos ahead.
Yes. So if you have not seen, if you haven't seen at least one of these movies, you might not want to listen to this episode just yet. We highly recommend, though, that you go watch both and then circle back around. And get our views on things, and then give us your feedback in return. We'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, because it's one of those ones where the build-up, like, and the payoff at the end, is kind of like, it's like, I would love to be able to watch Empire Strikes Back without knowing what everyone knows now.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
The I am your father line.
Hold on, dude. I've been holding off, man.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, shit.
No, I've been waiting for the second season of Mandalorian to finish. I was going to watch it all in one weekend.
You know what? I didn't even think that was my bad. I'm sorry.
I've been waiting 30 years for that moment.
Yeah.
God, we're only a couple weeks away, too.
Damn.
It's a shame.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So, no, I get what you're saying, though. The Golden Egg, which is the book that this is all based on.
I want to read that, actually.
You should. Why? In fact, you should have done it for this episode.
I couldn't have read the book.
Well, read it now while we're talking about the one you didn't watch.
Okay. Let me see if it's on Kindle.
So, the way that the '88 film starts, the character, what is her name?
Saskia.
Saskia.
Yeah.
she is talking about a dream that she had. Because I was intrigued by this, because I saw this time around when I watched the remake, the 93 version, I saw in the opening credits that it was based on the book, The Golden Egg. But the golden egg is referenced nowhere in the remake.
Yeah, exactly.
That I could pick up on anyway. So I noted it, thought it was intriguing. So then when, a day or two later, when I watched the original 88 version, I saw the same information, and they touch on that right away. And it is a theme that is a thread through that movie, the original, the whole time. In fact, so much so that there's an element to this golden egg theory, having not read the book, that I can't wait to talk to you about, Justin, because since you watched it, unlike Mike,
and read the dust cover.
There's
Dust jacket.
it's open-ended as to this golden egg theory. At least I think so.
Oh, you thought it was open? Okay, we'll talk about that, because I thought it was pretty shut. Open
Yes.
and closed.
Well,
okay.
maybe. I mean, that falls in one of my theories. I think is probably where your head's at, but I felt it popped up throughout, leading up to the crescendo. It starts with this character Saskia, who is. Were they married in the original?
I think at one point he refers to her as his wife, but that was when he was panicked when he couldn't find her. So maybe it was like, this is important.
It's important.
But nowhere else ever. They just
because then they
to
were
him as friends.
Yeah, so that was confusing to me. So I think that's probably right. And again, that probably adds to that moment of terror for him, that it was so important. This is my wife. It's not just my friend or my girlfriend. This is my wife.
He's trying to get across the point of it's someone who he's deeply connected to.
So before they get to the point where they stop at a gas station, for those of you who've seen the original, you would understand what happens at that point. But she talks about a dream that she had as they're driving. So they were they were going from one country to another. And Justin, maybe you can enlighten us. I know you have a little idea of the layout of the countries over there, because this film, although it was shot in the Netherlands with France, there's some French spoken. I think it's a Dutch production.
It's a Dutch production, yeah.
But there's French throughout.
Yes.
So what is your understanding of the situation over there?
So the two main characters, Saskia and Rex, are, a couple, we know this, who are traveling, seeing different, sightseeing throughout the country, or not the country, or Europe. And I think at one point she says, we can go back to Amsterdam. So we know that they're, from the Netherlands, Amsterdam. Traveling at one point, they're in France. And for people who know European geography, which I usually do not, they are not too far away. You have the Netherlands, then kind of below that you have Belgium, and then below that you have France. And I think then you have Spain over here, and you have Germany over here. Okay, so Belgium being in between the two is interesting, because Belgium is typically broken into, and this is stuff I got off the internet, so if I'm wrong, please correct me. Belgium is broken into several different regions. The northern part, I believe, is Flemish, which speaks Dutch. The southern portion, I think, primarily speaks French, and then they have smaller region that speaks German. But primarily, I think it's a bilingual country. So these characters are from the Netherlands. The antagonist, so to speak, is from France. Raymond Lemoire, maybe.
Just call him Raymond.
Yeah, Raymond. So, and they were traveling in France at this point, from what I gather. And the reason I mentioned Belgium in between is because the distance between, and for Americans, this is interesting to me, the distance between Paris, France, and Amsterdam is only 311 miles, which I think is 500 or some kilometers. 5 to 6 hour drive between the two, with the whole country of Belgium in between.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So for us, like, we could say Philadelphia is close to city to us. If we were to travel from Philadelphia
Way to pinpoint us.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, people are going to find out when they do an IP trace on where we're at now. And when they hear my Delco voice, they're like, dude, we know exactly where they're at. Which is, like, side note, like, the fact that you lived in Philadelphia and I never did, and I have more of an accent than you is, like, mind-boggling.
What's up with that?
Anyway, yeah, back to my point. So yeah, it's only 5-6 hour drive for us. Like, there's so much in between, like 5 to 6 hours. Shit, like Philadelphia, Baltimore, Wilmington, New York. I think in 5 to 6. I actually made it back from Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, in 6 hours.
Yeah.
Which I was worried about because it was a Sunday, and I was coming back. I'm like, man, I'm going to hit all that football traffic. But it was a Jets game. It wasn't a Giants game, so I was able to like blow
so
right
you
through.
zipped right on through.
Yeah, and I was
God, no offense to any Jets fans.
no, I actually like the Jets.
Jets, Jets.
Yeah.
Is that how that goes?
Sure.
Not the worst team, not the worst professional football team in New York.
Well,
I'll tell you
I
that
must say though that I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm anti-Giants. So Jets are cool in my book. So
Oh yeah,
anyway, yes. So
I forget what my point
the
was.
point is what we can bounce between 4 or 5 states in the distance that you're bouncing between
all speaking
countries.
the same language.
All speaking the same language.
Yeah, we have 3,000 miles, I think, from coast to coast.
yeah.
Maybe more than that. I don't know.
It's roughly
Of
3,000.
people who are all speaking the same language, we pretty much watch. We're in a similar culture. We're here because they even mentioned there's something they say. Raymond he goes out somewhere else to find someone. He's like far away from home, and the girl's like, "Oh, you can go down the road. You'll find some other foreigner there." Like, it's funny to say that like they're all foreigners to each other, but I don't know the exact measurements, but Europe seems to be like almost a similar size to the United States.
Yeah, their countries are definitely much smaller. A lot of them are the size of some of our states. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Over there. To us, it's a weird thing, but to them, it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, and but and you also have a lot of people speaking multiple languages and stuff. Like she speaks, I think actually, Gene Bervoets, maybe the guy that plays Rex. I'm totally butchering. his name.
that's his name.
I think they chose him because he could speak pretty fluent French and Dutch.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
I can think of a personal example. When I was like 14, my family, my parents and I and my grandparents went and we stayed in Austria, and we took a day trip to Italy one day, and we took another day trip to Germany one day.
Wow.
Here in America, where can you? I mean, what you just gonna cruise on down to Mexico for a day and then drive back? I mean, if you live in one of the southern
but then
states,
even
maybe.
still, you're not hitting Canada the next day. I'll tell you that.
Right, exactly. So, like, you can take little day trips to other countries.
Wow, that's wild.
And that it's interesting.
Well, I'll tell you something interesting too. When I was in Munich last year for work, my coworker out there, he's like I'm Bavarian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's very proud to be Bavarian, like not German, which I didn't understand what the difference was and all that. So it was and this is my stereotypical perception of what Texans are. But I kind of feel like Bavarians, to me, feel like what a stereotypical Texan is in the United States, whereas like he's very proud of his particular heritage from that particular region. Kind of separates himself. And again, I apologize to anyone from Texas because I don't know.
I don't
I've never
think it's
been
anything
there.
to be ashamed of. I mean, I think you should be proud of being a Texan.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of stereotyping them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think you should be proud of where you're from. But he was also like, he loved big trucks. He was part of the gun club there. He was a fun guy. Like, he was a great guy. But like, he definitely separated himself from some of the rest of the place.
So just to get back on track with the golden egg, she's talking as they're driving now on this country hopping vacation that they're on.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about the story.
She talks about a dream she had where she was trapped in a golden egg floating through space. And correct me if I'm wrong, she then says that there was another dream she had involving the golden egg where she was in it, but then a second golden egg was floating next to her.
And there was a level of comfort or something, knowing that other egg was there. Yeah.
So that obviously laid a foundation right away. You knew it meant something, so you had to pay attention. And so we'll circle back around to that because that's something we're not going to really dig into at the moment, but it's worth knowing. The tunnel scene in the original compared to the remake. What I felt was the remake to me, it felt like it. Let's be honest, the remake was very Americanized.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It was, they got to the chase a little quicker about things. They didn't let things breathe as long as the original did. The original, I think, did a really good job of building up a little more tension. The tunnel scene was more dramatic, even with her looking for the flashlight in the car was so much more dramatic. I mean, Sandra Bullock did a good job, but I don't think she was asked to do any more than what she did.
Yeah.
But the original just, it seemed to like let things breathe a little longer, and it felt like it built more angst in me as a viewer. You know, it was horrifying.
Yeah.
You'd be driving through a tunnel, run out of gas, going to get smashed into, which, by the way, she referenced the golden eggs when the tractor trailer was pulling up behind them.
Oh, the lights.
The lights.
Yeah.
So again, it's like all these little hints. It's like, oh, is that the golden egg? So you keep thinking that, you know the answer, but you don't quite know where it's going. So did you agree, though, obviously, that the remake felt Americanized, a little watered down?
I, like, throughout the entire thing, and I'm going to mention this when we get to the end, too, about, like, how Americanized the Americanized version, or the American version was. But yeah, it was definitely for better and for worse in certain parts. Because, like I said, I had watched the American version first and had a tremendous impact on me. And then when I watched the Dutch version, it had an impact too, but it was definitely from a different direction. You know,
one thing that I thought the Dutch version did, and maybe I missed something, but I thought the Dutch version did a good job. They made it a point to show the viewer that Saskia told Rex to stop and get gas. I don't recall in the American version if it was made that blatantly clear. Like, they didn't pass a gas station in the American version and Sandra Bullock said, you might want to pull over now and get gas. I don't recall.
I do think she did say, like, because I think Kiefer said, like, yeah, dude, or he's like, yeah, I know I didn't get gas or something. I think it was addressed.
Like it's implied that she had said.
Yeah,
that
he's like, I know I fucked up.
She said,
I think it was.
She says like we passed 10 gas stations or something.
Okay, so I guess.
Hey, I had some input. Awesome.
I guess.
Welcome to the conversation. Hey,
I forgot he was here.
This is Mike Antonio. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We're a little short on time. Anyway, what were you saying? There's a million shoulda, woulda, couldas, and that's what's interesting about this movie. There's like at any given point, one little minor change. And this whole situation would have never happened to these people. Yeah, and they even point that out in both versions about like, if I didn't sneeze at this exact point, I would have had some other
saved
woman.
by a sneeze.
Yeah, saved by a sneeze. Yeah,
that's crazy. So hacky sack compared to a frisbee. That's the version, the Dutch version. He had a frisbee, and there was a hacky sack that he was playing with. She didn't buy a hacky sack, but he was out there in the parking lot playing with the hacky sack.
While we're at this point, I have a little section boxed off for Sarah's points.
Oh, okay.
And when we're doing a comparison, in the American version, she's like, we got off on the wrong foot or whatever. Here, I had this thing I wanted to give to you, which is this lighter. And she gives him this like Zippo lighter, which is like, comes into play later. Where in the European version, she just happens to give him a lighter, like a cheap plastic disposable lighter. And Sarah said that in the European version, and I agree with her, the European version, the fact that it's a disposable just lighter that he carries for 3 fucking years has more of an impact than this, like,
this
special lighter.
Engraved one.
Yeah, the fact that this throwaway disposable lighter he still has 3 years later shows the impact of her disappearing on him and his psyche.
Yeah, because I would keep that engraved one anyway.
Yeah, you would keep it anyway, even if you don't use them. Like, all right, I'm going to throw this in a fucking in my stash box.
Even if, like, she hadn't disappeared, but they just broke up or whatever, I'd be like, oh, this is a cool lighter.
Nice lighter,
yeah.
Yeah, let me check it off so she don't get pissed off at me. All right, lighter, mention that.
That's going in the episode.
Go down the rest of your list. I want to make sure we don't miss
I'll hit them as we go. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, actually, there's the fear of tunnels thing she mentioned.
Oh, okay.
As that is because this whole thing's about not capitalizing, exploiting fear and all that, and the fear of tunnels, and that, like, I have a fear of tunnels. Like, every time I go into Baltimore and I have to go under the bay, under the tunnel, I get, like, real anxious the entire time, and I can't wait to get out the other side. And, like, one of my biggest fears is there's a traffic jam or something. I have to sit there, like the movie Daylight or something, where they're all stuck there. And she had a story. Hopefully she can mention in the comments later, because I don't know the story. It's probably great. She was in a tunnel one time where a car was on fire.
Oh, jeez.
So...
Was Sly Stallone there?
Yeah, he's like pulling people through a vent hatch or something. I don't know. She knows the story better than I do, so maybe she'll chime in later.
She's going to have to clarify.
Yeah, she'll clarify.
Well, both
check that off.
Stephen King and Robert McCammon have exploited that fear.
She said the same exact thing, both of those. Yeah.
Stephen King's The Stand and Robert McCammon's Swan Song both have scenes with
and I feel
people
like
having to cross through tunnels.
And I feel like in the book, The Stand, it's much more impactful than in the movie. Which, I mean, a lot of people say that, but in general,
there's a lot more.
That was horrifying in the book.
It's a lot more drawn out, but in a good way. Not like saying overdrawn, but a lot more to it.
So a big thing we should point out is these two films start off differently. The original starts off, and I think this did something for me. It laid a path for me to follow, and in these two films, I followed two separate paths.
Yeah.
So in the original, the film opens with the couple and spends a lot of time with them on their travels, and her in and out of the gas station, her in the tunnel, him going to get gas, that whole dynamic in the fight, and then them stopping at a gas station, her going in and getting a frisbee, coming out, them playing, them burying coins, which I'd like to talk about that, because does that ever come back around?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I want to talk about that. So there's much more time with them before we even get a hint of who the villain is. We have no idea. Whereas
the American one is vastly different.
American version opens up with him.
And
him laying out his plan. You have an idea before the credits even stop rolling that what he's practicing and what he has in mind. So that is vastly different. But because of that, and Justin, correct me if you feel differently, I felt like in the original, I was with Rex for that journey, and I could relate with him, and maybe I think it did the film service by putting me in his shoes and helping me feel the horror and the dread. Whereas in the American version, Jeff Bridges, who absolutely dominated, no
discredit to the rest of the people, because everyone, Kiefer Sutherland, these other people I've written on this page.
Yeah.
They're great.
Nancy Travis, Sandra Bullock, all of them. But Jeff Bridges. Janky Bone Shoes. Jeff Bridges dominated that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just a powerhouse in that movie.
But it opened with him, so I felt I tapped in more to his character.
Yeah.
And I had more of a connection to him, so I followed his path a little more. So, but I think, although
I think that was intentional by the director.
I think it was intentional, but I think it may have done the big picture a disservice.
I agree,
because I wasn't feeling the angst of Kiefer Sutherland as much as I could have.
He was more of a supporting character instead of focus on the story. I agree.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges in his most undude role ever.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I pointed out to Amanda too. There were times after they got in the fight where his face was a bit puffy and he, banged up and bloodied. I would not be surprised at all if Heath Ledger got some inspiration for his Joker from Jeff Bridges.
That,
He had that lip smacking kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
that very much the Joker did.
People that like ASMR are gonna love that.
Yeah, you could just play that on loop.
What's ASMR?
The people that like listen to.
Here, let me rub my T-shirt against.
Yeah, you never heard of that?
Oh yeah.
No.
Like people get all into like
here we
the noises.
Just take it in, baby.
Yeah, they just lay there and are just.
This is a level of kink I didn't know.
No, it's like a
existed.
big thing.
Okay.
I got my bottle opener.
You know, it's funny.
They'll do like they're like cooking or
Yeah.
something. Like I'm cooking, some sausage and it's all like sizzle and stuff. And they just somebody will just sit there with headphones on, listening to it.
Is it a sexual thing or is it just like?
I think it's
more
almost like a meditation.
Comfort and meditation.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd be
it's just
curious
like
to check that out.
soothing and relaxing.
Because I love. We talked about that at one point when I was talking about that vampire movie I saw when I lived in Seattle about the sound with the footsteps and everything.
Game Grumps, they do ASMR and a few other.
And then
episodes.
sometimes it'll
yeah.
be like, Mary had a little lamb.
Oh, that's just
Like
weird.
people whispering.
I don't like
that's
whispers are weird.
Yeah,
I don't
they're
like that.
like whispering to each other.
No,
Yeah,
I don't like secrets.
Yeah. So anyway,
It's more supposed to be like just quiet and soothing.
yeah.
All right.
So I noticed
down with
I
that.
noticed some again, we're going to bounce here, folks, so you're going to have to try to keep up. So we apologize, but this is the first time we've ever done this, and maybe the last time we've ever done this on the
Yeah,
MacGuffin
and if
Guild.
you watch most films, it shouldn't be an issue.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
watch both films because it won't be an issue for you like it is for me.
So I noticed if you're watching the remake, the 93 version, the scene at the bus station where Jeff Bridges goes to pick up his daughter, from the very beginning of the scene, the camera does like a sweep, and you can see there's like an escalator or steps.
Yeah.
And you could see, it's not an escalator, but it's steps. And you could see at the top of the steps as the scene first opens. You see at the top of the steps as the camera starts the sweep, and Jeff Bridges being the focal point. At the top of the steps is a couple just awkwardly standing there. They are extras, and it made it into the scene because you will notice a couple moments later after the daughter comes out of the train or the bus,
It's a bus. It's a bus.
And they walk up the steps. At that point, this couple that was awkwardly standing at the top of the steps walks down.
Oh, so they're just waiting for their cue?
Waiting for their
basically?
cue. But they caught it on camera and they didn't
I didn't
catch it in
that.
post.
Well, I didn't catch it when I watched it. So.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's just my
And I had
little
extra time to
nitpicky
focus
stuff.
on that film because I only watched one.
The test in both films where the Raymond or the Barney character leans over to do the test on his daughter is eerie as shit.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
eerie, yeah.
When he, leans over, locks the door, grabs her, and then pinches her nose just to see if...
Yeah, just to do a dry run.
We should mention this as well. In the original, there were two daughters that he had.
I saw
Yes.
that. I did see that while we have the film on in the background. We have
And-
the original film on in the background, so that's how I'm seeing it.
I can
Silent.
yeah, Mike's watching it for the first time right now.
It does have subtitles, so I can kind of watch it.
I can completely understand why they cut the second daughter out
Yeah,
of the film.
kind of repetitive.
She was completely not necessary. I saw the spiders in the basket scene years ago when I saw the remake. I didn't know, obviously, its source material.
Yeah.
In hindsight now, having seen the original I think was done. I liked the remake. I liked the point he was trying to prove. Let me get my daughter to scream. Let me gauge from the neighbors if they heard it.
They can hear.
What can I get away with? I liked it. But again, it was very kind of like, let's just get this going. They spent 45 seconds on that scene?
Yeah.
And what I liked about the original is instead it was the family, the four of them, him, his wife, and his two daughters, sitting down for a lunch outside their home that they had just purchased, because he literally takes down the for sale sign like earlier in the scene. They're having a nice lunch there, and he has one of the daughters open a drawer in the table they're sitting at, and the spiders are inside. She screams, and then the other daughter screams, and then she screams again, and then it becomes like a family game, like a bonding thing.
Yeah,
like
a screaming contest.
A screaming contest. So he gets them all to scream multiple times. So it's even more impactful. So when he asks the neighbor later, did you hear anything? He's like, I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
It means that much more. But not only that, it was a great opportunity. to me, it felt like a bit of development there.
Yeah,
to see their relationship, to see them kind of just goofing around as a family, I thought was important. Much more impactful than the 45 seconds spent on.
Yeah, where it's just like, oh, that was a weird thing you did.
Yeah, why would you do that, Dad?
Yeah, in the remake, he definitely seems like more of a weirdo than in the original. He like. In the which is actually more creepy to me, that in the original he seems like an everyman. He's like a family guy. He gets along with his family, like all this stuff. And then when he does the weird stuff, like doing that mocking, like suffocating someone, it's like extra weird. Where like in the remake with Jeff Bridges, Jeff Bridges is so good at being a weirdo that like
it's kind of expected.
He's very
like,
odd.
Yeah, it's like you're already odd, so when you do odd things, I'm not like that.
Yeah, there was a weird juxtaposition there that felt a little more jarring, coming from someone who didn't give off an aura of being a questionable character.
Although I think that chin beard makes him instantly evil looking.
That chin. I thought the same exact thing when we watched it. What's up with that chin beard?
He's totally a metal bass player.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like, what's the name of your metal band, dude? Yeah. I do want to talk about him at some point during this.
How about now?
Okay. I wasn't prepared, but shake it off and do it.
I mean, if you want, you tell me.
There's a lot of stuff about this guy I find very interesting. Bernard-Pierre Donnadieu, I think his name is.
Xanadu?
Forgive me in my public school education.
Donnadieu,
yeah. This guy really fascinates me just based on interviews and things about where he came from. He seemed like he was kind of a bully on set. But I don't
some
even know
say that was by design, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is where I'm struggling with. Like, is he a method actor that's trying to get the best out of his
That's the impression I got. Because when you talk about the one scene, the suffocation scene, the drugging scene, Saskia?
Yeah.
The actress, it was... I think you hear Kane Hodder does this all the time. Like he grabs someone so much more,
yes, he does.
Jarringly intense than he has to.
Yes.
I got the same impression from this. I read that during that suffocation scene, he grabbed her face in a way where she really started to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And you can see that on film. The two, and Sandra Bullock, again, she did a great job. It was the first time I ever saw her as an actress. Like, that was my first experience with Sandra Bullock.
Oh, really? Even before The Net?
I don't think I've even seen The Net today.
That. Oh, well, guess what our next movie is.
Yeah. Did this come out before The Net?
I don't know. I have no idea.
But anyway, Sandra Bullock did a great job. But
I think, wasn't she already a name by the time she did The Net?
I think she was. I think that was post Speed. Speed was what really got her on the scene.
Is it pronounced Bullock or Bullock?
Bulaka.
I think it's Boule.
I think it's Boule. Anyway, my point is, it's not even about her. It's about the other actress who plays Saskia, Johanna Turstig.
Yeah, good luck.
Joanna Turstig. She plays Saskia.
Fantastic in this part.
She is awesome, and that scene where she gets abducted is horrifying. Her eyes are absolutely gut-wrenchingly horrifying because they almost like start to roll back in her head.
Yeah.
Like you could see her body looks almost, her face is lifeless.
Yeah. That performance there is significantly different than the other 10 minutes that she's in the movie. Like it's like completely night and day.
Yeah.
The fact that horror in her eyes comes through to the viewer like, oh wow,
it was jarring how real. And
you should watch it, Mike. It's pretty good.
I should. Yeah. I think I will.
So, but the Bernard-Pierre Donnadieu, he, from what I've read, now I don't know his history. I don't know how he is on other film sets, or if it was just something for this particular character and him trying to tap into this mindset, if it was a method situation going on where he was trying to be a little more... Because I heard before the scene where
him and Rex.
Yeah, him and Rex.
Yeah.
He intentionally, before they were filming, got in a fight with him.
Yeah.
Not physically, but just like an argument.
To like rile him up.
So when they were filming, like Rex would be in like kind of a perturbed mood.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case and that was his plan and he wasn't just an asshole,
Yeah.
that's actually pretty cool.
That's the fascinating thing to me is like, is this gentleman, this actor, in his normal life, is he just someone who's predestined to be an asshole? And
Yeah,
that he has found a way to capitalize. Like,
Maybe.
I'm an asshole. How do I fucking?
I know.
How do I do
Oh,
this?
you weren't. Oh, you were saying his thoughts.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about yourself.
Yeah, it's true. It's well, yeah. How do I get into an occupation where I can take this characteristic about myself and use it to make everything better?
Yeah.
Or is it just like he's so in touch with acting and stuff that I can take this element of human existence and spin it and you know, I don't know. Like I don't know what it is.
See, I could see that being a slippery slope though, because I can see a lot of well-known quote unquote method actors who could go in with that same approach.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, and maybe it's too much at times. I mean, if this is just like a one-off thing where it's like this role was perfect for it, let me try to get into this mindset. What's the best path I can follow to try to achieve what's best for this role? But if it's like, I'm like this every time, and now, you know, whether I'm playing like the operator of a candy store or I'm whatever. I don't know why I said that.
It got to the point where he was harassing.
I was just trying to use a range of, you know, type of film roles. If they're doing that on every single role, it's obscene and probably unnecessary.
But it got to the point where like the woman who plays Saskia had to say something to the director. She's like, "I'm going home." Like,
oh,
I'm getting
no shit.
Yeah, she was like, I'm done with this and I'm leaving.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the director had to step in and say, "You're like, go sit in the corner." Like you're like he was being a little
so I didn't hear
extra. And so. Is it just his person? Because I mean, we all know these people who just are like high energy, like antagonistic people who just like that's their thing. And if you can just kind of like see past it, it's kind of funny and it's like it's entertaining and stuff. But someone who's a little more sensitive, like she admits, I watched an interview with her. She was in like film school when he found her. And she was like very, you know, a bit insecure, shy, and everything. And she was, and he's very outgoing and very. And she even said like, he's the type of person that would like walk into a restaurant like, "I am here," like, you know what I mean, and where she would just kind of like cower. So like, it might have been a personality difference or something. But that's a very interesting character study of like how people are and what they bring to the table. Yeah, that's interesting. So I didn't hear that she had. That I mean, I knew that she had a panic attack, but I didn't know it was like they had to have a talk. Oh yeah. That's interesting. I'm just gonna rattle off. We're gonna do like a little speed round here. I want to rattle off some of my Pat's points. Justin, want to hit me with that theme? Pat's points. So we're just gonna rattle off some Pat's points here, and we can discuss as we go. I don't want to give off the impression in any way, shape, or form that I was not just as horrified by the American Vanishing 93 as I was the original Vanishing 88, because it is still a very horrific concept for someone in a relationship to stop at a rest stop and your significant other goes inside and never comes back.
Oh yeah, that's a whew.
So
I can't even imagine.
I think it resonates with a lot of people.
Regardless of what happens from that point or how the film ends at that point, that element alone is horrific.
And it doesn't even have to be a significant other. It could be a child.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know,
of course.
You know, a parent would
a
see
neighbor?
this.
A neighbor.
Someone you hunt bears with.
I mean, yeah, that could be unnerving too. Yeah. You're bear hunting and then your
friend disappears.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what, I'm going to hunt bears by myself now? It's dangerous.
I mean, maybe a bear got him. Yeah, I mean, that's horrifying. Because now you're thinking, is a bear going to come get me?
Well, it'd be especially scary if it wasn't while you're hunting. It was just like he was sitting in his living room watching Monday Night Football.
And a bear got him.
You just happened to hunt bears with him at some point.
Yeah. You got it. Thanks for picking up.
So that element alone, not the bear hunting stuff, the going into a gas station and never coming back. Yeah. And then later on when they say to him, you have to wait 24 hours to file a police report.
Right.
What?
When you already know something's wrong.
Yeah, something is wrong. Yeah. I'm traveling.
Yeah.
I don't have my keys.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
You're
just
Far From Home.
Far From Home. It's horrifying.
I
but
think
like
the saying is well fucked and far from home.
That's that standard procedure. They always make you wait 24 hours, no matter what.
But that element alone, to me, with both films, because they both have that,
they do.
Is just insanely.
It's distressing.
Very, very distressing.
It's also coming off that fight. Like, you just had this real tense moment, this fight and everything, and you're like at odds with each other, and then that person disappears.
And then you have a makeup.
Yeah.
Then you're both like, you know, we're good. Promise me you'll never do that again. I love you so much. And then you do the hand signal, like, you know, you're in Cub Scouts.
They quote unquote made up, but it's not over yet.
Yeah.
Because we all know all like
it's not over.
Like, like you have that, you just reached the first steps of getting past this situation where like you just experienced something you have never, like a level of betrayal in a relationship you'd never had before. And then you're working through this, and in the middle of working through this, how are we going to, like, I love this person, maybe I didn't treat him the right way, and you're still working through this, and like this situation, and in the midst of working through this person disappears, and you're left with like all these feelings of regret and all this, you know. So, and then I think that's the most horrifying part, is they never fully resolve that fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, and I think in the original, it really fucking drives home that point, that's why he is so like gung-ho. That's why he has spent his entire life, because he never got resolution from that fight.
Yeah.
Like, and even in this one, when the 88 version, when he's walking away and she's like scrambling for the flashlight, and she's like, "Don't leave me here." There's a slight scene when he exits the tunnel and he smirks, like almost like he like has the upper hand, like I'm going to handle this. Like, you know what I mean? And I think it's that little tiny smirk. And Sarah and I talked about this little tiny smirk that like will come back to haunt him when he has to then face like, oh fuck, like, you know.
Yeah.
Which, and I want to say again, real quick, and then we'll move on. When you are an actor and you can act with your face, that's next level shit. There's a lot of face acting in this where it's like, nothing can be said, and just the emotions on people's faces.
You're talking 88 version.
In the 88 version, I'm sorry. Yeah. We'll say Castaway, for instance, where it's just like Tom Hanks in a fucking volleyball.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? For 2 hours. Like, the fact that you have to act without someone else is
no one to act off of, basically.
Yeah. And your actions have to also be important. Every facial expression has to be important.
Because it has to carry the movie.
Yeah. Which I think their relationship up until that point where she just disappears is huge. Their facial expressions.
Yeah. So I want to just rattle off some more points here, and we'll just blow through them. So this is the 93 version now. How long did Kiefer wait before he finally did something? Any ideas? It seemed like he was out there for a long ass time.
Yeah.
I probably would have made a move a little sooner.
Yeah.
There was a scene during that when the terror started kicking in. He's running around the parking lot trying to look for desperately. There is a scene in front of a tractor trailer. There is a man laying on the ground in front of the tractor trailer. In the remake? This is all 93 version right now. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
I didn't see that.
Pay attention. When you see it again, he walks past the gas pumps. There's a tractor trailer.
Yeah, I remember
parked.
the tractor trailer.
He looks around, but if you look to the front, which is the screen right, of where the tractor trailer is, there is a man laying on the ground, like signaling traffic. It's a really weird, but anyway, that's the shit that I hone in on.
Maybe he was trying to be like out of the shot.
Maybe, but he was he was very much in it. Yeah. So I did note that was a very busy rest stop in the 93 version.
It was like a Wawa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's an East Coast thing for anyone in France listening. East Coast Americas.
Which I think Wawa is a French word, actually. I think it's a Canadian goose, but I think it comes from I think it's a French word.
But yeah, we have a franchise of convenience gas stations. All along.
But they're like big. They're like you know.
But anyway. My wife Amanda reacted. We watched this together. She had never seen it before, so she watched both versions with me now.
Oh, nice!
But she watched the 93 version first, as soon as the scene cut and it popped up with the 3 years missing poster, she audibly reacted, "My God." Like, it, like, jarred her. You know, like, just the fact that was...
the amount of time that passes.
Gone. Gone in a blink.
Yep.
And then 3 years passed.
3 years and nothing.
So... that was noteworthy. I liked the scene where Kiefer Sutherland, when I forget Nancy Travis's character's name.
Rita, I believe. Look at that. Me throwing out some information.
Nice. Yeah, Rita.
Woo!
Good job,
High
Mike.
five.
So when he meets Rita and then they crash, she lets him sleep there and
At the diner.
Yeah. I thought it was a nice touch. Dirty socks. It just really sold his character. When he's laying there in the cot, you could see he's got like filthy socks.
I noticed he was like using his jacket as a blanket, even though he was laying on top of a blanket. On the cot.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't get that, but
maybe it's because he passed out so quickly.
yeah, maybe.
The fact that he hides the book idea, Kiefer Sutherland, again, 93 version. He's tasked to write a book about this mystery.
Oh, yeah.
And he hides it from Rita.
Yeah.
I felt out of a good place. I think he was he knew the slippery slope that he was walking on. And if you were to say, hey, remember that woman that I loved that is missing that I can't seem to get over?
Right.
I'm going to spend every waking hour of my day now writing a book about her instead of maintaining our relationship. That could be problematic. So even though his approach was shitty and he was like acting like he was in the military, like the reserves, and he was going away for the weekend. He was actually going to a hotel room to
research,
to investigate and research.
Yeah.
However, well, I can see why she was upset because he was lying, but at the same time, she gets more mad at him for still like obsessing over that. And let me tell you right now, if I had a girlfriend who disappeared, I would look for her until she was found.
Yeah.
I just would. No matter what else was going on, if I was in another relationship later, I wouldn't be able to let that go.
I think any
Would
one
you
of
write
us...
a book like, I didn't make her disappear, but if I did, this is how I do it?
Yeah, I think any one of us, if we were in the same exact situation that Kiefer Sutherland
I would
was in,
have to know.
You'd have to. Just to have any... Look, Mike, if I never saw you again after you walked out this door tonight...
And you won't.
We'd have a party. No, I'm just kidding.
I would be...
I'm going to hide somewhere. I want you to find me.
I'm going to take a long weekend.
I want to see how long it goes before you give up.
What I want to say about that is it's a double-edged sword. I like that because it adds an extra layer and changes the story. Because now the focus is on lying and keeping secrets. And and the rest of the American version now is focused on lying and keeping secrets and how secrets hurt someone.
Yeah.
Sure.
Secrets are no fun. To quote Willy Wonka. And but like that's what it becomes now with this. This is now the moral, which is what American films are usually typically about. Like, what's the moral? What am I pulling from this? Is now it's like, don't keep secrets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like and dislike that because that also takes. You now have to do a lot of gymnastics to kind of get it back on track to get back on the point.
Here's what I think we're missing, though. I think anyone who has ever been in a relationship, that is a very real thing. That's even addressed in the original.
Yes. Yeah.
If any of us were in a situation where our long lost love is still a big part of our lives that we can't let go of for one reason or another, that could be problematic.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
so I don't think that's just an American thing.
No.
But I think the American version tapped more into it.
I think that's a very human thing.
Well, I'm just saying it drew more focus on the lies and deceit and the secrets.
Yeah.
For better or worse, you know.
Yeah. So I liked, obviously, both Jeff Bridges and the...
Beau Bridges.
No.
Lloyd Bridges.
No.
Lloyd Bridges.
Both Jeff Bridges and Bernard-Pierre Donnadieu, both of their characters, Barney and Raymond, were both very intelligent men.
Yes.
Clearly teachers, chemists,
scholars.
professors.
Thinking men.
So clearly smart.
Men
now,
of
there was
science.
something that happened in the American version, the 93 version, that, unless I missed it, did not happen in the original version, which I thought was a nice touch that my wife Amanda honed in on. And I think is worth discussing.
Oh, yes, please.
It's the scene where Barney is teaching his class and he shows the example of the fly.
Yes.
And he puts the fly in and he says something to the effect of everything's, going just to plan until an outside source unknowingly becomes introduced.
Yeah.
My question to you, my fellow MacGuffins, what was the fly?
I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
Well, this is, I don't know for a fact, wasn't on set, but this is my take, and this is why it was only in the American version. And this is going to be definitely getting into spoiler territory, but we warned you earlier. The fly is the Rita is the fly, because the biggest difference, and this is where it's going to come out.
The biggest dickus?
The biggest the biggest difference
For
is...
you Monty Python fans.
Yeah, that was for you. This is the point where I'm going to reveal the difference between the American version and the original version. Is Rita in the American version has a role much bigger than her counterpart in the original. Where she is the X factor. She is that fly. She is the thing that totally destroys that formula. And that's why I think it's hard. Because at the end, I don't want to talk about the end yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I think Rita's the X factor.
I think
She's
you're
the
right.
fly, yeah.
I think you're right. So originally, watching it this time, paying uber attention to every detail, I originally was under the impression, okay, the fly, who's the fly? And I think the two films, you have, the golden egg in one film and then the fly in the other film, those were kind of like the symbolic undertones that were kind of like threaded through the whole thing. But originally I was thinking with the fly is it the fact that, and I think this is wrong now, but just as my wheels were turning, is it Kiefer Sutherland being completely relentless in his search? That's not the fly, though, because I think that's what Barney wants. He wants that. He wants
Cat mouse game.
Yeah, he wants that. So, what led me to believe and agree with you that Rita is the fly is the scene where he walks into the room. Maybe this is what you didn't want to spoil, which I'm about to spoil.
No, go, please do. Yeah.
Where
Spoilers, guys.
You've had less
where
beers than me.
Barney walks into the apartment where Rita is leaving the voicemail.
Yeah.
And saying, if you called.
Wait, no, Barney walked in while Kiefer Sutherland was leaving a message.
No.
Oh, no, you're right.
She is.
Yeah, the first time when he hides behind the door.
Barney
yeah.
walked in when Rita was leaving the message saying, if you're calling for Jeff, he is now a single man, blah, 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 because I am leaving.
She's pissed off.
And he backs off. He was there to remove her from the equation until he realized in that moment she was removing herself.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
thus she is the fly.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Only to return later.
Yes, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But one thing that astounded me even more than any of that was the fact that there was rest stop gas for $1.27. That is astounding.
That made me cry.
I know.
It's sickening.
Another thing I want to say that seems to come up a lot in our episodes, it came up in When a Stranger Calls, pre-cell phone days. So many.
Sorry.
What happened?
I was thinking to myself, we haven't aired that one, but we haven't aired this one.
He was distracted by a cell phone.
So my point is, how many movie plots would have been altered if cell phones were a thing for much longer than they are? And this is another one. Because if the minute she went missing, I would have started blowing that phone up.
Yeah.
Or at least texting her, or it would have maybe given her a fighting chance.
Well, and not only that, but even if you weren't calling her phone, they can track her phone.
True.
As long as
it
she
was with
still
her.
had it with her.
So anyway, just something noteworthy. Again,
it's a whole different aspect.
Still on the 93, The Vanishing. Really good stunts on the steps during the fight. In fact,
definitely.
I don't even know if they were stuntmen because
that was
those
crazy.
scenes rolled right into them standing up and being the actors. Like, I don't know if like Kiefer Sutherland and Jeff Bridges were legitimately rolling down the steps together.
Must have had some padding at least. But yeah.
I hope you like roast beef.
What?
He made Kiefer. Well, actually, both of them packed lunches, which was very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice of them. I wonder why that is, especially if you're going to like poison someone. Why would you put more food in their stomach and make the process even longer? You know what I'm saying? They know that they're getting ready to give them tea tainted.
Maybe he knew
with
that the food, like he accounted for the food.
So you survive longer in agony.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I wondered why both of the guys offered them food. If you're getting ready to ask them to drink tea that's tainted with poison to knock you out, so I can bury you.
Maybe it's part of that. Maybe it's part of that. I'm trying to win favor with you to show him, like, oh, I'm not so bad. I made you a lunch.
Yeah, I'm sure he factored in the food as part of what effect that would have on the.
I just don't know why you would offer food. Like, if they had if they were just coming out of a diner, sure, that's nice to know that information. But why add that element to the mix?
I don't know.
But anyway, I digress. When Jeff Bridges backed his car into the wall before pulling off with Kiefer Sutherland.
No, yeah.
Originally, I was like, man, that was a great little scene. I wonder if that was like an accident, and clearly it wasn't, because he got pulled over for the busted taillight.
Oh yeah.
So I'm guessing that was what did the job. Amanda thought in the American version, when the film had ended, she felt as if she needed more closure with Barney's family. Because they were
like innocent bystanders.
They were, but they had suspicions about their dad, but they weren't sure. They asked him, both the daughter and the wife, both asked him at various times, are you cheating? Do you have a mistress?
Because they knew something was up.
But then I guess she wanted to see what was their reaction when it was revealed that, oh yeah, your dad and husband was a psychopath and
that
buried people in the yard.
Good to give some closure on that. Yeah. Well, yeah, the daughter even says to him that when she's introduced, when she gets off the bus and she's talking to him and asks him if he's like having an affair, basically, and she's like, "I wouldn't blame you," like indicating. Like,
there's something
there,
some unsettling situation.
Yeah.
You know?
So the 88 version has a much different ending than the American 93 version.
Spoiler alert for me.
Spoiler. So now we're going to proceed. We're going to push ahead. So anyone who's seen the 93 version, you know how that ends. You know how the Rita character comes around, which I loved in the American version, how she turned the tables.
She becomes like the hero of the movie.
I did like... Now, look, it could be viewed as a cop-out. It could be viewed, especially now having seen the original, it does feel a bit forced to appeal to a certain, movie ticket purchaser. But I did like the Rita character. I liked how they built her. She was a badass. And I loved how something so simple, she turned the tables and used the daughter as a pawn. To get what she wanted. I did like that element.
Me too.
Where she turned, and she didn't hurt her. She knew where she was, but she used the lies. Coming back to the don't tell lies, she used the lies that the daughter told about leaving the house at that time of night against Barney.
Right.
I really liked that.
I like that.
I liked at first how he didn't believe her, but she had that the information.
And then as soon as he called. And the wife
mom
answered,
was like, she's not in her, have you seen her? Is she with you? Blah, blah, blah. And he just hangs up on her.
I thought that was a really great scene.
Yeah.
So
no, that's good. That is really good. Now, I don't know about the original.
Yeah, now we're going to shift focus to the original. So I did read somewhere, there's two things I want to correct as we dig into the original now. One, I saw that the director, George Sluizer, was a
Sleazy P. Martini.
Yeah. George Sluizer was approached by an American TV network, I do not know which network, and offered to do a second remake with the original 1988 ending. But it didn't happen. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2014. So probably not going to happen now unless somebody else takes it on.
Maybe Kiefer Sutherland can direct it.
Thank you for joining us on the MacGuffin Guild. To ensure you don't miss anything, be sure to check out part 2 of this special 2-part episode featuring both the 1988 and 1993 versions of The Vanishing.
I raised you better than this.